We're back at Investor Talent's headquarters in San Diego, California. On today's program, we have Alon Goren, the co-founder of the CrowdInvest Summit. And Alon actually is a pioneer in the crowdfunding space here. He's worked with IMDb, MySpace, Amazon, among others. And he's really, as I mentioned, one of the thought leaders in the equity crowdfunding space. Alon, thanks so much for taking the time with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be on.
So, Alon, this is the second time we've had the CrowdInvest Summit, and so I'd like you to share with everyone what investors, companies, what can we expect at this upcoming summit?
Absolutely. So we basically built the first conference of its kind where we bring the investors and we bring the startups who are actively fundraising online, and we put them all in one room. We then tell the general public to come and see these opportunities, but also we get them to come by bringing some of the best and most well-known investors in the world, putting them on stage and having them teach the potential investors, the general public, their tips and tricks and what they do and how they look at deals, so that we can all learn from them, because we're not all billionaires or millionaires and we can't all invest hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars at a time. But now through crowdfunding, we all can invest, even if it's thousands of dollars at a time.
So for investors, the summit is coming up on September 6th and the 7th here. What can investors expect? You have some major speakers coming up. You have Marcus Lemonis, Brock Pierce. Take us through what they can expect at the summit.
Yeah, so when you so for example, Marcus Lemonis, we're going to have him on stage, but we don't do the same thing that other conferences do, where they bring a keynote and they ask them, go for 30 minutes, go for an hour, right? We actually sit with them in advance and we discuss different topics around crowdfunding, around investing, their thought process, and then we get them on stage and we interview them. So what you hear from Marcus Lemonis is going to be something that you hear only at this conference, right? He may have said it before in different stages, but we're going to have James Altucher, who's very versed in crowdfunding, who's actually going to be launching a crowdfunding show pretty soon. We're going to have him interview Marcus, and we're going to help him come up with questions and topics that will be specific to the audience. So things that you want to know related to investing in companies, he's going to answer. And, there's nobody better than him, because, if you watch his show, you see what he does. He helps small businesses all the time. He invests directly in them, and he gets his hands dirty. And what's really cool is just on his show, not including anything he does offline, he's invested over $60 million in companies. So this guy is who we all wish we would be when we're sort of looking at these deals online and going, wow, I want to be the next, equity investor.
Well, we had a blast at that the last summit, and there was a lot of engagement. You saw these companies, and that was when really people were still trying to navigate their way through it and figure out, what's the right company for it? Is this the right way to go about it for me? What's changed since the last summit there, and what can investors kind of expect in the landscape of equity crowdfunding?
So our last conference was the biggest conference of its kind ever, really. But in the crowdfunding category, it was probably 3 times bigger than the biggest conference I had ever attended or had ever seen happen in the United States. And when that happened, and when we brought that mainstream audience in and the general public in and all the media in, people were coming to us saying, wow, it's arrived, we've arrived. And I was excited, and I was obviously ecstatic because I had put on this conference and I was really happy with the outcome. But I was a bit nervous because there was one big deal up until that point, and it was already, in my opinion, a little bit stale. But since then, we've had many companies go through equity crowdfunding, go through the Reg A Plus system, and go live on NASDAQ, on New York Stock Exchange. Just if you watch Investor Town Hall alone, you'll have seen a few examples of that just in the last couple months. It's really exciting. So this industry that was sort of at its infancy, that just basically got created, sort of had this coming of age moment last year at our conference. I know I'm being a little full of myself when I say that, attributing the conference to the industry, but really we were there to create the stage for this growing conference to be on. And then now since then, it's growing immensely. We're on track to have double the amount of people at this conference. We're scrambling to figure out the hotel situation, because last conference we had over 500 people attend the conference from out of state. That doesn't really happen at tech conferences or finance conferences of this type. And so this year we expect that number to be about 1,000 people. So we're going to have to figure out all the logistics, right? So it's great problems to have, but this industry really is coming of age. It's becoming something more. It's becoming what we all wanted it to become, which is not its own industry, but alternative finance on the internet.
Absolutely, and the concept's been proven. I mean, the amount of progress you've made in just a short time it's amazing. I mean, really flip things upside down and show people that there's alternate ways to finance. It's great that unaccredited investors, the average guy, can now partake and share in the success of these companies. So, I mean, again, we're really looking forward to being at the conference with you as well, and congratulations on all the success so far.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for being a part of it, and we're excited to have you back.
Well, so what are some other, really cool things coming up here? One of the things we mentioned is ICOs, Bitcoin, blockchain. Obviously, a very hot topic right now. Everyone wants to know what's going on with it. What can we expect there on that?
So at the conference, we're going to definitely make that a subject that's addressed, and not just addressed, but we'll have companies on the expo floor that have gone through it. And the ICO process, really, if you ask 5 lawyers, you'll get 10 answers as to what's legal, what's not legal. We're going to try to suss some of that out. But really what's important for us is to learn from what the successful part of it, which is really that they've done a sort of internet version of an IPO. They did it online. And a lot of these companies have raised significant amount of capital. Some of them are categorized as securities. Some they're trying to pretend like they're not. But no matter what it is, some of these companies have raised over $100 million in 1 week on the internet. Right? That's what crowdfunding was supposed to become and what is becoming. So it is a form of crowdfunding. We're going to have Brock Pierce, who did the first ICO for a venture fund. He's basically created the first liquid venture fund on the internet. And there's the different types of regulations that we have to juggle to understand it. But what really matters is that a week after he launched his ICO, he raised $10 million within the first day. But a week later, it was trading online, and people were buying and selling shares of a venture fund. That's really exciting stuff, and that's the type of stuff we're going to talk about.
Unbelievable. And so we can kind of let our audience out there and people interested in going to the conference, how can they get involved?
So if you go to crowdinvestsummit.com, there's sort of something for everyone. You can see our amazing sponsors. You can see the speakers that are going to be there. You could buy tickets. Something I didn't even tell you guys. If you use the promo code ITH to buy a ticket, you'll get 25% off your ticket price. And we've only got a couple weeks left of the early bird ticket price, so take advantage of both of those things. But crowdinvestsummit.com, you'll have all the information for everything you need.
Well, okay, everyone. I think that's about all the time we have for today. But, let's let everybody know. Crowdinvestsummit.com. Obviously, a lot of exciting things coming up. If you want to be a part of it, get to the early bird special. Use that promo code. He said ITH. Alon, thanks so much for taking the time with us.
Thank you so much again for having me. I love this show.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to having you on again soon sometime. For everyone out there, tune into InvestorTownHall.com. Check out our podcast. Check out our videos. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Stay tuned for the next interviews here on InvestorTownHall.com.